Coming up, an unfortunate outcome as South Korea's football team loses 3-2 against Ghana. Despite the loss, fans showed full support on the streets of South Korea. And what needs to happen for the Taeguk Warriors to advance to the round of 16? An ambitious step towards the moon and Mars. President Yoon unveils a blueprint for South Korea's own space journey for 2032 and 2045. Plus, negotiations between the government and a group of striking truckers ends in failure. President Yoon plans an executive order for them to return to work. Good morning and welcome to New Day at Arirang. A disappointing moment for fans as South Korea's national football team lost against Ghana in its second group stage match of the Qatar 2022 World Cup. The Taeguk Warriors now need a win in the final group stage game for any chance of progressing. Our Kim Jung-sil leads us off this morning.
The Taeguk Warriors had a strong start to the game. Until 24 minutes in, when against a run of play, Ghana's defender Mohamed Salisu put in the first goal of the match. And 10 minutes later, midfielder Mohamed Kudus scored another goal for Ghana, putting South Korea 2 goals behind at halftime. South Korea came back strong in the second half, and 13 minutes in, substitute Lee Gang-in crossed the ball to Cho Kyu-sung, who scored South Korea's first goal of the game. And just 3 minutes later, Cho scored another goal, bringing the match to a tie. That goal makes Cho Kyu-sung the first South Korean to score twice in a single World Cup match. But Ghana retook the lead with another Mohamed Kudus goal midway through the second half. South Korea had wave after wave of attacks but could not find another goal, and the match finished with Ghana winning 3-2. After the final whistle, South Korean head coach Bentu ran onto the pitch and strongly protested to the referee for ending the match without giving his team a chance for a final corner kick. The referee showed Bentu a red card, and because of that card, the head coach won't have the chance to sit pitchside during the final match against Portugal. On the same day, Portugal, South Korea's final opponent, beat Uruguay 2-0 to nail down its position in the round of 16. Portugal's midfielder Bruno Fernandes scored both goals. The only way for South Korea to move to the round of 16 is to beat Portugal in the upcoming final match and hope for a favorable result in the match between Uruguay and Ghana. The final match for the Taeguk Warriors will take place this Friday, local time. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
Now, during the game, the supporters of the South Korean national soccer team once again poured out into the streets across the country. The fans, known as the Red Devils, braved the rain to cheer for Team Korea. Our Lee Si-woo joined them and files this report.
Red Devils in raincoats cheer on their team. Thousands gathered at Gwanghwamun Square in central Seoul on Monday night to cheer for Team Korea in their second match of the 2022 World Cup. South Korea were facing Ghana. During the night, up to 30 millimeters of rain per hour and heavy winds were in the forecast in certain parts of South Korea. It poured down at Gwanghwamun Square, but umbrellas were not allowed inside the fences for safety reasons. Only allowed were raincoats and true passion.
The cold and the rain cannot stop the Red Devils from coming out to cheer for the Taeguk Warriors. Despite the harsh weather, they've been singing cheer songs and shouting chants since late in the afternoon.
The anticipation builds as kickoff nears.
It's raining hard, and I hope it'll be raining goals and that we pick up a good win.
The whistle blows, marking the start of the game, and the cheers of the Red Devils fill the square. But their cheers turn to sighs as Ghana scores twice and South Korea goes into the halftime break losing by 2 goals. The Red Devils, often called the 12th Taeguk Warrior, do not give up. South Korea's moment came in the second half of the game when Cho Kyu-sung scored twice in the space of just 3 minutes. The exuberant crowd, whether strangers or friends, became one, singing in one voice. But Ghana retook the lead just minutes later. The Red Devils kept believing and supporting, but at the final whistle, disappointment filled the air.
It's a mixed emotions, I would say. There were a lot of good plays, especially from Team South Korea. Go, my son!
I asked Team Korea to not give up until the very end, defend hard, and do their best in the next game.
The Red Devils will gather once again on the night of December 2nd to cheer for South Korea in the last group match against Portugal, which kicks off at midnight Korea time. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
Now, as you saw, that was some scenes of fans of the Taeguk Warriors cheering on the national team from across the globe. I want to bring in someone deeply involved in football culture to talk more about the street cheering culture in this country. We have Choi Ho-gun, CEO of Over the Pitch, with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, we just had a close look at fans cheering on the team. As someone involved in football culture, what do you think stands out in terms of the Red Devils street cheering?
This has been going on since the 2002 World Cup. It is also a cheering culture, and at the same time, it has been enjoyed like a very orderly festival. Now I am also in the football industry, but I can say that I have been very inspired by these cultures.
Yeah, right. It's an inspiring for many of the people involved in the football culture. Now, street cheering isn't just about watching football. So would you recommend experiencing a street cheering event for those who are not really into football? What might really appeal to non-football fans?
Street cheering is like a festival. That's why I think it's a very good opportunity for people who don't know football well to come into contact with the football. Personally, I don't think have to know sports well to become a fan. So I hope that it will naturally be incorporated into many people as an entertainment and culture that is enjoyed like a performance. For the reason, street cheering can be a good memory, such as atmosphere, performances, and food. And I think it can be a good start to experience football.
Right. It's definitely beyond just the football fans, beyond watching football. It's the cheering, and one way to really be there and be part of the thing is the fashion. I do want to ask though, how it's the first World Cup in the winter, and usually World Cups are in the summer. So people are usually wearing their jerseys, their favorite team support to show their support. But now it's the winter and it's a little too cold for just wearing jerseys. How is the fashion now in the streets looking, especially for showing support of the Taeguk Warriors? It's really we have a lot of room for the supporters to express themselves now, don't we?
Also today is so cold. This World Cup is really cold. So we did the designs in slightly different ways. I made a knit sweater or jacket inspired by the design of the football jersey and Korea team's jersey. This was our Winter World Cup cheering method that we recommend to our fans.
Right, and all the horns and the lights, and those are kind of the fun aspects to the cheering, isn't it? Well, thank you so much for your insights this morning, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Now, in 5 years, South Korea aims to develop a homegrown rocket and send a spacecraft to the moon within 10 years to start exploring lunar resources. President Yoon laid out a roadmap for a future space economy. The goals include landing a spacecraft on Mars in 2045 on the nation's 100th Liberation Day. He believes the industry will be key to future opportunities.
우주 강국을 향한 우리의 꿈은 멀고 먼 미래가 아니라 우리 아이들과 청년들이 가질 기회이자 성취가 될 것입니다. 우주경제 로드맵을 통해 우리의 경제 영토는 지구를 넘어 달과 화성으로 넓혀갈 것입니다.
The roadmap includes 6 major policy areas, including nurturing space talents, enhancing space security, and becoming one of the world's top 5 space powerhouses. Next year, the government aims to launch an aerospace agency similar to NASA, one of Yoon's campaign pledges. South Korea's ambassador to the U.S., Cho Tae-yong, says Seoul and Washington are making efforts to stop illicit cyber activities by North Korea that fund the regime's missile tests. Speaking on Monday in Washington, D.C., the ambassador told reporters that cooperation between the two countries had led to recent sanctions on hackers by the U.S., while South Korea is also reviewing independent sanctions on different websites linked to hacking. Cho also shared his thoughts on comments from Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, who used harsh language to criticize the Yoon administration and blamed Seoul for the recent spate of missile launches. He said the words are proof that the South Korea-U.S. alliance is working. As unionized truckers continue nationwide strikes, the government signals a stern response and zero tolerance. The latest negotiations fell apart, and President Yoon reviews announcing a return to work order. Our Kim Bo-kyung brings the updates.
President Yoon's idea is to respond firmly to the nationwide walkout of unionized truck drivers. With the strike entering its 5th day on Monday, a senior presidential official, Kim Eun-hye, said that Yoon could approve an executive order at a cabinet meeting scheduled for Tuesday, forcing the striking truckers to return to work. President Yoon also said the rule of law on labor management relations should be firmly established regardless of which side carries out illegal acts, and that the resumption of work order would be issued to the Cargo Truckers Solidarity Union. Under current Trucking Transport Business Act, the land minister can invoke an executive order against the striking truckers to return to work if a strike is resulting in major disruptions to the national economy. The order needs to be approved by cabinet, and violators could face up to 3 years in prison or a fine of up to $22,000. This comes with the government raising its cargo transport disruption warning to serious, the highest level in the 4-tier system. While pointing out that the strike is predicted to cost around $223 million per day based on previous strikes, the officials said the government will respond sternly to the walkout based on the principle of zero tolerance.
Due to this collective transportation refusal, only 62.4% of nationwide port containers are being used compared, and the average container movement at major ports across the nation is only 28.1% of the normal level over the last 4 days. The government thinks the logistics system, key national infrastructure, is at risk and has upgraded the crisis alert system from alert to serious as of 9 a.m.
Even with a strong warning from the government, Monday's negotiations between the cargo union and the government fell apart. Talks lasted for less than 2 hours and no agreement could be reached, with differences remaining over permanent implementation of the safe trucking freight rate system and extension in item application. The second sit-down is slated to take place on this Wednesday. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
The trucker strike that started last week that we just heard about has been affecting supplies of key materials like cement and steel bound for construction sites. Concerns linger on further disruption to deliveries of consumer goods. Our Lee Dae-yeon provides a deeper analysis.
The cargo truckers' walkout entered the 5th day on Monday, with drivers rejecting pickups nationwide. Activity at the major harbors and logistics centers, Busan, Ulsan, and Uiwang, have dropped significantly. On Sunday, container movement at harbors dropped 7.6% compared to the average. In particular, the country's biggest port, Busan, saw container movement drop to around half of that from the previous day. Compared to the same period last month, it was down by more than 80%. With logistics disruption continuing, industries are reporting losses too. Ready-mixed concrete factories in the Greater Seoul area stopped working on Monday due to a decrease in cement shipment volume. One industry insider says this could lead to losses of around $37 million. The steel industry, too, has stopped product transport except for urgent orders that are being moved by trains or ships. Oil companies are also cautiously monitoring the situation as some oil tank truck drivers are also taking part in the strike. One oil company official said that although there isn't a shortage of stock at the moment, they are bracing for losses as the strike could carry on for a while longer. Automobile companies are yet to report any disruptions in component supplies, vehicle production, and transport. But the factories of Hyundai Motor and Kia are saying that their employees are transporting finished vehicles to shipping centers themselves one at a time instead of transporter drivers who are on strike. The trucker driver strike has started to affect consumers directly too. Tech giants like Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics are notifying consumers who buy large-sized home appliances like refrigerators and TVs of delivery setbacks. It's also affecting consumers who have ordered products from overseas as freight shipments are being delayed as well. Meanwhile, earlier on Monday, South Korea raised its alert level for cargo transport disruption to serious. This is the highest in its four-tier system. Following this, related ministries and government officials, including the Ministry of Interior and Safety, the Land Ministry, and the National Police Agency, will be working as a central disaster and safety countermeasure headquarters. It will discuss ways to minimize the economic damage while responding to the strike. Lee Dae-hyun, Arirang News.
Now for a look at the news from around the world, we could connect to our Matthew Ashley standing by at the Arirang newsroom. Good morning.
Good morning, Doyon.
Now let's get the latest updates from the Qatar 2022 World Cup, where Portugal is headed into the round of 16 after clinching a 2-0 win against Uruguay.
Well, that is right, Doyon. Fans at Lusail Stadium on Monday local time witnessed Portugal slide into the elimination rounds of the tournament. And this is thanks to a 2 second-half goals against Uruguay. Now, in a fixture where Portugal controlled most of the game, Uruguay had a chance to take the lead in the first half when Rodrigo Bentancur ran through the Portuguese defense, taking him clear on goal before his shot was stopped by the legs of the goalkeeper. Now, after the break, midfielder Bruno Fernandes broke the deadlock with the first of the 2 goals from the Manchester United star. His opener came from a cross in the 54th minute that looked to have been met by the head of Cristiano Ronaldo. However, replays showed the number 7 didn't get a touch, with the ball bouncing beyond the keeper. Fernandes then sealed Portugal's ticket to the round of 16 with a penalty kick in injury time.
Brazil is also into the round of 16 following a victory over Switzerland in Group G at Stadium 974. The Swiss had to absorb much of Brazil's attack threat, with the Europeans failing to produce a single shot on target. And they may have felt they could hold on to snatch a point when Vinicius Jr. had a goal chalked off by VAR on 60 minutes. But the 5-time World Cup winners broke the deadlock with a moment of brilliance from Casemiro in the 83rd minute. The midfielder finished off some stylish passing into the box with a shot that left keeper Jans Sommer unable to react. The result leaves Switzerland second in the Group G standings and needing at least a draw against Serbia on Sunday to advance to the next round. The other match from Group G ended in a thrilling draw, with Serbia and Cameroon scoring 3 goals each. Cameroon opened the scoring from a corner that was headed toward the far post, where Jean-Charles Castelletto arrived to tap the ball in. Serbia then responded with 2 goals in first half injury time, with an equalizing header by Strahinja Pavlovic and then a second goal by Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. Alexander Mitrovic extended Serbia's lead in the second half. But Cameroon pulled one back when Vincent Aboubakar beat the offside trap and coolly chipped the ball over Serbia's goalkeeper. And just 3 minutes later, Cameroon levelled the score through forward Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. The draw means that both teams have 1 point in the group standings and will need a win in their final game for a shot of reaching the round of 16.
And finally, taking a quick look at some of the upcoming World Cup fixtures. The next 4 matches see teams in Groups A and B play their final group stage games. Getting the ball rolling are 2 matches from Group A, both kicking off on Wednesday at 12 a.m. Korea time. The matches will see Ecuador taking on Senegal, with both teams still vying for a place in the round of 16. At the same time, the Netherlands are favourites to top the group as they face hosts Qatar, who have already been eliminated. Then at 4 a.m, 2 matches from Group B, where it's still all to play for. Iran faces the USA in a tension-filled fixture, and Wales will be trying to get one on over on neighbours England in a must-win game for the Welsh.
Good morning. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with the latest weather updates. We will be seeing more sporadic rain across Korea, including here in Seoul and Gyeongsang-do provinces, where there will be 5 to 20 millimeters of more rainfall. The rest of the country could see less than 5 millimeters of rainfall during the first half of the day. Then after the rain lets up, those of us in the central parts of the country will notice a sharp drop in temperatures. It will be actually colder this afternoon than this morning with bitter cold winds. Then please brace for a severe cold snap tomorrow morning. It could feel like minus 13 degrees Celsius here in the capital. But today, this afternoon highs will also be 1 to 7 degrees Celsius lower than yesterday. Southern provinces will have warmer than average temperatures until today. Daegu topping out at 17 degrees Celsius, Busan at 20 degrees this afternoon. The West Coast and Jeju could see the season's first snow, and a cold wave warning could be issued in most parts of the country tomorrow morning. And after days of unseasonably warm temperatures we had, a sudden drop that could make you get sick. So please be well prepared for some bone-chilling temperatures. With that in mind, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
And that wraps up today's New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow for our Wednesday's edition at the same time. Please stay with Arirang News though for more updates throughout the day. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are, and take care.